Now we will discuss about the basis of curriculum planning in National Education Policy 2020. The NEP 2020 takes about inclusive education because in an inclusive classroom a wide range of differences among students within a learning environment exist. And these differences exist in socio-cultural backgrounds, in gender, in cultural differences, and so many differences in IQs are also here. So, when all the students are in one classroom, we do say it as a inclusive classroom. National Education Policy 2020 also says that the inclusive environment is very uh, kind of dynamic classroom where a teacher has to provide inputs as per the need of the students. So, these differences can include variations in cultural backgrounds, interest, abilities, learning styles, and individual needs. Embracing student diversity promotes inclusivity, equity, and a supportive learning environment where all students can thrive and contribute positively to the education process. When we are providing nourishment as per the need of the students, as per the interest of the students, definitely there will be a kind of supporting learning environment and there will be positivity in the environment, and every student will be happy to know more about from the teacher. So, the characteristics of this inclusive classroom is that every individual is provided the instructions as per their need. They move all together. It means that what one who is having a kind of different socio-cultural background and another who is having another socio-cultural background, they are not differentiated, but they are being taught in the similar environment where there is inclusivity and the environment is pleasurable, joyful, and all are moving all together. And the National Curriculum Framework, that is 2005, clearly gives significance to child-centered pedagogy that can meet the range of challenges confronting the inclusive school system. So, National Curriculum Framework also advocates that there should be child-centered pedagogy. We have studied or that there are two kind of, we will discuss about these in next lecture, that there are two kinds of pedagogies. One is child-centered, another is teacher-centered. In child-centered pedagogy, we give importance to the child's needs, child potential, child capacity, and the main focus in this pedagogy is child. So, we arrange all the instructions as per the need of the child, that is as per the need of the students. So, the child-centered pedagogy gives much more attention on the development of the child, and it goes around the child's interest, child needs, child abilities, child capabilities. But on contrast, the teacher-centered pedagogy is focused mainly on the teacher's verbatism, and a teacher is the main, having the main place in the classroom, and he delivers the lecture as per the coverage of the syllabus, not keeping in mind the students' need, but coverage of the syllabus is the main focus of the teacher-centered pedagogy. So, what should be the pace with the students? What should be the focus for the development of the students? What should be the interest of the students? So these all kind of dimensions or aspects are being neglected, and students are not giving the priority as per their interest. So this teacher centered pedagogy is having disadvantages for the child in terms of their development, in terms of their proper academic growth. So this kind of pedagogy, that is the second one, teacher centered pedagogy, is not considered as a good as the child centered pedagogy. So the educationist in this time giving much more importance to the child centered pedagogy. So the National Curriculum Framework 2005 also says that the child-centered pedagogy should be given priority because it can meet the range of challenges confronting the inclusive school system. So these child-centered pedagogy makes a child comfortable and makes a child more dynamic and more helpful in the proper academic growth of the child. Basis of curriculum planning that we are discussing right now. The National Curriculum Framework 2005 underscores the importance of participation of all children, especially the children with special needs, children from marginalized sections, and children in difficult circumstances on all spheres of life, both in and outside the educational institutions. It states inclusive education is about embracing all. So, the same statement, same recommendation are given in National Education Policy 2020, and before National Education Policy 2020, the NCF 2005 also advocates that the students from different areas, it may be from rural areas and it may be from those who are facing different kind of challenges, can't give the this fees, they are unable to submit the fee as they have the financial problems. So these all should be added in the school and they should be enrolled in the school. Lot of schemes, government schemes were launched for this purpose, and successful efforts were made by the government of India. The duty of a teacher in this regard is that understand the learner, think the needs of a child, and every child has specific needs. So in the specific classroom or in the inclusive classroom, the need differs from one child to the another. And what is needed here? That the teacher's responsibility is to understand the nature of the child. What kind of instructions are needed here and what kind of treatment, what kind of content is needed for the curriculum, and especially there should be a specific kind of space for these children because they have to perform, they have to develop by the teacher, they have given a space for the academic growth of the children. So think the needs of a child, every child has a specific kind of need. So those who are having certain kind of problems, certain kind of difficulty, certain kind of challenges, they all be given importance in education system. Think about the topic you are planning to teach, whether it caters the needs of the students. Will some children find this topic harder than the others? This is very essential to understand. Say for example, I am teacher and I am moving this kind topic, and the planning is not here, and I am not keeping space for those who are having difficulty and those who are having less IQ, those who are having another kind of disability, and those who are unable to understand my language. So many kind of problems are there. So the teacher's role is this, that he has to give much more emphasis on the planning, lesson planning. In lesson planning, what kind of learning experiences are required for all the students, those who are moving fast or those who are unable to move fast, considering problems of all the students, the teacher has to prepare a lesson plan. So, child centered pedagogy demands that the child's needs should be giving the priority over the other kind of experiences. So, as per NEP 2020, the effective learning requires a comprehensive approach that involves appropriate curriculum, engaging pedagogy, continuous formative assessment, and adequate student support. So, what is the recommendation of NEP 2020? NEP 2020 says that a comprehensive approach means considering the needs of all the students, involves appropriate curriculum, that is having the simple elements, that is having the complicated elements, and that is having also a problem centered approach where the students are engaging and where the students are interacting with the content. So, such kind of curriculum that gives space to all the students, that should be keep in mind while framing the basis of curriculum planning. Continuous formative assessment means usually we take a test when we enter the students in the classroom. There is admission test. An admission test is uh, familiar among the students. They have to apply for a particular university where they want to get the admission, and they appear in the admission test. After getting the results or the declared by the institution that yes, you are able to enter in this institution, they get the admission there, and after that the classes start. So, since the first day of teaching, covering the one unit or the few topics of the course, the teacher wants to know that what kind of changes are there in the behavior of the students, or the teacher wants to know how far I am able to impart my instructions to my students. So, this kind of assessment that takes place at the initial stages of the covering the at the covering when the course is going on, that is known as formative assessment. So, how can we define the formative assessment? The formative assessment is a kind of assessment that takes place at the initial stages of the course start. And this kind of assessment is very important to know that how far the students are able to understand the teacher's instructions. If there are 50 students, say for example, and 35 students scores high and they lie between 60 to 75%, and others 15 are not able to get the good progress. So, it means those 15 students, those could not get the progress satisfactory, they need certain kind of help from the side of the teacher. So, what is advantage of this assessment? That at least the teacher can find the students and can identify the students, those who are unable to understand the instructions given by the teacher. Instructions means the content delivered by the teacher. So, ultimately the teacher focuses on the needs of the child, those who could not do the best. So, they try to give the remedial classes to the students, or another kind of approaches are there, that there is some kind of adjustment in the classroom also. Those who are having good progress, they are shifted to the back bench, and the slow learners are giving the place in the first row of the classroom, and another kind of alternatives are also there. That depends on a teacher what kind of strategy he wants to give to the students or to the classroom. So, this formative assessment is very essential aspect of this curriculum planning, and it should be given a space in the curriculum planning that after completing one unit of the paper concerned, the teacher will take a test. The test may be essay type, the test may be objective type, and combination of both as the situation demands. So, just to start of the course, we identify the difficulty of the students. So, it is easier for a teacher to give the instructions, to deliver the content as per the requirement of that particular class. As per NEP 2020, the curriculum must be interesting and relevant and updated regularly to align with the latest knowledge requirements and to meet specified learning outcomes. This is very essential, that when you are preparing any curriculum, there should be a foundation on the basis of principle of flexibility. What does the principle of flexibility say? This principle says that there should be a space for the latest knowledge. Curriculum should be reviewed after completing one academic session. Every year there should be revision of the curriculum. What is the latest knowledge related to that particular subject, that particular paper should be added in the curriculum by the teacher. Why it is so? Because it is the duty of a teacher to provide the latest knowledge of the subject to the students, because without knowing the latest development in the concerned field, the students will never be able to know what is going on around the world as an advancement of knowledge. So, NEP 2020 also recommended that regularly there should be a kind of revision, and relevant and updated content should be added in the curriculum to align with the latest knowledge requirements and to meet specified learning outcomes. Learning outcomes means that the learner's behavior, that observed in the behavior of the students. So, the students learning outcome always observed in the behavior of the students in terms of knowledge, in terms of understanding, and in terms of other kind of behavior outcome. So, that should be reflected in the knowledge of the students, in the application of the knowledge, that giving them in the form of content, that they know about the latest advancement knowledge of that concerned subject. High quality pedagogy is necessary to successfully impart the curricular to students. Pedagogical practices determine the learning experiences that are provided to students, thus directly influencing learning outcomes. So, high quality pedagogy means that the old pattern, traditional kind of pedagogical practices should be stopped, that we are teaching through the lecture method and we are giving instructions through the this kind of verbatism, that should be stopped. But the latest pedagogical practices, that should be introduced in the curriculum, and a teacher should try that delivery of content should be through different kind of new trends that are being familiar in the field of education. So, the latest pedagogical practices should be introduced in education system, and other kind of old and traditional that could not give the good results be stopped, and directly influencing learning outcome, that is the students are getting the good kind of knowledge and they are getting the excellent learning experiences, definitely there will be a positive change in the behavior of the students. The assessment methods must be scientific, designed to continuously improve learning and test the application of knowledge. Thus, curriculum pedagogy, continuous assessment and student support are the cornerstones for quality learning. So, the NEP 2020 recommended that there should be quality learning in the education system, in the educational institutions, because the assessment method should be scientific. Scientific means there should be objectivity in these methods. No one can say that it is not justice with me, that the marks are less. So, such kind of feelings that the students have, that should be stopped and the objectivity should be given place. The justice with the student is very essential by the marking process. So, the assessment method should be scientific, means it should be objective in systematic and organized way. There should be transparency in the assessment process. Designed to continuously improve learning and test the application of knowledge, how far the students are able to understand the test and to understand the teacher, how far the students are able to understand the teacher, that should be given space in assessment process. Thus, curriculum pedagogy, continuous assessment and student support are the cornerstones for quality learning. So, latest curriculum pedagogies and continuous assessment. Continuous assessment, that I told you that at the start of the course we take the formative evaluation. Later on, to know the difficulty of the student, we also take the diagnostic evaluation. After that, when the course is completed, we take the summative evaluation. So, the evaluation or the assessment that takes place throughout the session are of 4 types. One is the placement. When the students enters in the classroom, we take a test as an admission test, that is placement assessment. Enters in the classroom, the teacher starts to teach, take a test just to know the difficulty or just to identify how far is able to understand the teacher's instruction. Then diagnostic means to diagnose the difficulty of the students, those who are having speech problem, those who are unable to give the answer frequently, and those who are having any kind of difficulty in writing, those who are having any difficulty in pronunciation. So, diagnostic test gives a particular kind of difficulty that may be among the students. So, a teacher can identify the difficulty of the students, that what kind of difficulty problem they have. So, this is the diagnostic kind of assessment. Then at the end there is the summative, that is sum of all the assessments, and on the basis of that we promote the students to the next class. So, the assessment process must be continuous throughout the academic session. And student support are the cornerstones for quality learning. Student support means that what kind of problems they are facing, what kind of treatment is needed here, and there may be a certain kind of personal problems, there may be certain kinds of environmental problems, and there may be certain kind of health problems. So, what kind of support is needed for the students, that a teacher must know. So, for running of and for making the curriculum more effective, it is very essential that a teacher must know all the problems of the students and provide support to them accordingly. So, that is the way to get the quality learning in the classroom. Along with providing suitable resources and infrastructure such as quality libraries, classrooms, labs, technology, sports and recreation areas, student discussion spaces. A number of initiatives will be required to ensure that learning environment are engaging and supportive and enable all students to succeed. So, along with the academic work, along with the quality learning, this is also very essential that the equipped labs and good quality libraries and sport and recreation areas, technological enriched labs and other kind of rooms, that is discussion rooms, and a number of initiatives that may be helpful to support the students or to provide a pleasurable environment in the educational institutions are also very essential. Because the classroom is small and the number of students are more, not feasible to provide the education in the qualitative way. So, keeping in mind the infrastructure of the educational institutions and the infrastructure facilities that should be here, these all should be kept in mind while transacting or while implementing the curriculum in any educational institutions. So, thank you very much for listening my lecture. Thank you.